If you ever feel like you've missed out on crypto and the possible gains that may come from it, just take a look at this chart and think about how much we've grown in the past 10 years and how much we still have yet to explore into the future. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today we are covering David versus Goliath, Barcelona versus Real Madrid, the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears. Or more so, what we're really talking about is Cardano versus Ethereum. And today, the main topic we're going to cover is everything you need to know in terms of what's going to happen in the near future and possibly far future. Now, this video is going to be way too short to actually cover everything in depth that you need to know. We're going to cover more so along the price of what might happen to these assets and kind of the near-term future of what we might see from them. So without wasting any more of your guys' time, let's actually jump into it and let's start with Ethereum and the things that I see for it personally and the things that might happen to it pre and post merge. So something related to the Ethereum merge is what this independent researcher Kyle McDonald said about Bitcoin's price and what Ethereum could do to it. Now I think it's a little far-fetched, but it's definitely something I wanted to cover. So this guy says Bitcoin's price may crash after Ethereum's merge. Now when he says crash, he's also saying literally basically extinct Bitcoin. So this is one of the reasons why I don't want the hype train to build up in Ethereum, because a lot of people might see something like this and go all in on Ethereum. Now he says he predicts that the Bitcoin network may be regulated away, causing the price of Bitcoin to collapse. Basically his argument is that Ethereum is going from proof of work to proof of stake, which is extremely efficient and doesn't use that much energy. And since Bitcoin can't really upgrade like that, it's going to be regulated away and we're not going to be using it anymore. Well, you also do have to remember that since Ethereum is moving away from proof of work, that a lot of these miners are going to go over to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is proof of work. And the security aspect of it is that when you really break down proof of stake versus proof of work really does kind of, beat the bill on this one, especially when the numbers grow in terms of miners and the hash rate. It really exceeds in the department of security. And let's be honest, when we look at the market caps of what's going on right now, and still to this day, Bitcoin is the godfather and kind of the backbone for the entire cryptocurrency market, with a market cap even below it sitting 2000 at almost 400 billion. Now, I think there is a possibility that we could get the Ethereum Bitcoin flippening, but even if that happens, even if Bitcoin drops down to second, third, or fourth, possibly, I think it's always going to be around because it's just a different cryptocurrency than what Ethereum is. First, we have digital gold and a store of value versus what Ethereum is trying to be, which is more kind of like Web3 or kind of this independent smart contract platform. And let's be honest, when we talk about being regulated away, people really don't care, or at least the politics or the people in charge really don't care about what costs or what bad things that Bitcoin may do to the environment, because in all honesty, when we look at everything that they have passed or everything that they are going with, Bitcoin isn't even a blip on the radar when it talks about how bad it actually is. Now, I'm not going to go through this entire tweet thread, but basically this is breaking down how Bitcoin is actually way better than any of the other alternatives that we've been using. And really, at the end of the day, it's a money game. If it makes money for people, if it's what people are going to be using, then the governments are just going to go along with it. Now, one thing that I think could possibly happen is that maybe it doesn't get regulated away, which I think is definitely unlikely, but one thing that could happen is that if we do get a flippening, or where Ethereum's market cap flips Bitcoin's, definitely what we could get is kind of a fall, or maybe people starting to see that Ethereum is a little bit more valuable. We could get a transfer from Bitcoin to Ethereum, or even just the fall in market cap because people are seeing what's going on. So honestly, when I'm looking at the charts on the long term, again, this is on the weekly, what I really see is that a possibility of a new floor being formed over here at the $13,000 level, which again coincides with the ceilings back here at the last bull market. So these are definitely levels that I'm keeping an eye out for. I'm definitely hodling Bitcoin for the long term, years and years to come. But I think in the short term, what we definitely could see is maybe consolidation. And I think the possibility of a new floor dropping below 17K is definitely a high possibility. But today's video is all about Ethereum and exactly what it might do during the breakout, the merge, and everything that has to do with it. Now, this one person says that Ether is primed for a pre-market rally because of a wedge breakout. Now, when we go to the charts and we look at it, they're basically looking at this on the 4-hour time frame. And as you can see, this is a downward wedge kind of formation that they have. And one thing that happened is that over here, this is when the breakout happened, and they say this is what confirmed it. Now, the reason that it didn't continue to fly up is because of the gas prices and the gas shortage over in Europe, and that was one of the things, or the catalyst, keeping Ethereum down. So what they're saying is once Gazprom, or once Ukraine is able to export gas to Europe, then that's definitely a catalyst that will surge Ethereum. That's kind of his point to this. But when we actually go to the markets of Ethereum, you can see that there is still kind of this bear flag that we really need to kind of look at. And personally, what I think is that yes, there may be a pre-market rally that might push us up to these local highs of around $2,000 per Ethereum. But before we even go into that, there's definitely 3 things that I want to cover off of this article. So this is Surge or Purge, why the merge may not save Ethereum's price for September. So the 3 main things that they're looking at is, first, they're going to be selling the Ethereum news. Now again, this is like the old adage, buy the rumor, sell the news. A lot of people are going to be hyped up for what's going to happen in Ethereum's price. If you really take a look at what's happened to price, if we go all the way from the bottom right around here, or even a little bit closer to when the merge was actually announced over here, back in the middle stages of July, if we go to the top just around here, price has already surged up 97%. So for Ethereum to surge up once again, another maybe 50 to 100%, I think is extremely unlikely. When you look at the economic data and the economic news coming out, where things are still looking worse for the United States and basically the global economy. Now again, going into this, it's very important not to only look at what's happening on a global scale, but what are the traders doing in this as well. Now if we look at the options implied volatility, this is basically telling us what traders are seeing and what they're doing. Now when we look at this chart, this is basically telling us that during and after the merge, a lot of traders are expecting a lot of downside for the post-merge because they believe that there's going to be a massive sell-off. So when traders are protecting themselves from a big drop-off post-merge, that could also be an indication or early indication that we might not see good things happen on the charts after the merge, especially if things don't go well during the merge, which we know Ethereum has definitely pushed back a lot of their updates, and they haven't been the most successful in everything that they've done so far. Again, another indication that we have to remember is that the hawkish Federal Reserve is putting a damper on basically all investments. And remember, even last week, Jerome Powell was reiterating that they will do anything that it takes to lower inflation, and that's their main goal, even if that means crashing the markets, causing a recession, and whatever it takes. They're going to make this inflation go away no matter what the cost may be in the markets. And the third thing we have to talk about is the giant bear flag on the weekly. Now, this is exactly one of the things that I really wanted to point out. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go on the daily, and we're just going to basically mark out all these charts, and we're going to start from scratch. And again, the big thing that I want you guys to remember is, let's look at this chart and let's kind of look at the bear flags that they're talking about. So first, when we had our peaks over here at around $5,000 per Ethereum, right around here, this is when everything started dropping and we had this massive drop. Then what we had was this bearish flag because, we have the drop and it looks like an upside down flag right around here. Then we have our second drop, and now what we have is another bearish flag. So this could be an indication that we are going to see the same thing that happened over here happen once again right over here, and we could get that pushed down. Again, I've been reiterating this a lot. There are a lot of things that can go wrong during the Ethereum merge, and even if it does go right, we're still not in the right environment for it to go well. Now, if this was pre-November 2021, I think this would be an insane catalyst, but when we compare it to where we are now and what's happening in the world, I really don't see much happening from this. So again, one other thing that I really like to point out is that if you've ever heard of Elliott wave structure, it's a 3-wave structure to the up or the downside. And what we're seeing is we're seeing one push to the downside, a second push, and this could be the third and final push, creating that floor in the late bear market of the cryptocurrency. Now, again, this wasn't all about Ethereum. Let's move over to Cardano. What we know is that the merge for Ethereum is going to happen in the later stages of September, but it's going to be the first merge that happens. Afterwards, what we're looking at is around September 15th to 19th is when the merge should happen. But if we go over to its competitor, Cardano, the Vasil hard fork, is going to happen after on September 22nd. So we have to keep this in mind, that if Cardano merges after Ethereum and Ethereum's merge is not successful, a lot of people are going to be abandoning ship in the short term, right? More so traders, but that's also going to cause more downward volatility for Ethereum, because now you have its main competitor doing well, and let's say Ethereum merge fails in the short term, then that's just going to cause more volatility to the downside. But honestly, when looking at Cardano, I know I used to be a huge fan of Cardano because I loved what it actually stood for, but when we actually think about what Cardano is and all the competition of Ethereum, basically Ethereum was the first smart contract platform that was introduced, and then what you had was insanely intelligent developers leaving Ethereum because they didn't like how the project was run. And then a man by the name of Charles Hoskinson, which everybody knows, left Ethereum and created Cardano because he wanted to make Ethereum better, but in a different way. So he made Cardano. Now, one of the struggles that he's had is the growth on the ecosystem. Everybody has stuck with Ethereum because it was the first, it's kind of the Bitcoin of smart contracts. And now what we're seeing is that Cardano is trying to make their greatest upgrade in their ecosystem. And recently, if we look, Cardano has been added on Robinhood. Now, you'd think this is an insanely big catalyst, especially right before their update, but even then, we're looking at a very bleak and small future for Cardano, and here are a couple of the main reasons. One of the big things that people still talk about is that even though, Cardano has a lot of hype behind it, it has a very, very loyal following, one of the things is that it lacks an actual achievement in its protocols. And one of the best ways to measure this for altcoins or DeFi is total value locked. This is showing, people are putting their money where their mouth is. And when you look at Cardano and you look on DeFi Llama, its total value locked is only 81 million, which may seem like a lot. But Cardano was made in 2017 and it still only has 81 million total value locked. Compared to things like Clayton, which is basically only in Korea, it has a total value locked of 350 million. Makes you kind of wonder. And then if you look at Avalanche, which was created in 2020, only 2 years ago, it has 1.8 billion total value locked. And then all of its competitors like Tron, Solana, Binance, all of those have in the billions of total value locked. So Cardano is still miles and miles and miles ahead or behind. So that makes you really wonder, if this upgrade doesn't go well for them and Ethereum's does, at this point Cardano is basically as good as done. And looking at the charts, again, I'm not the most optimistic on what's happening on the charts. What I personally think could happen is, even if the hard fork goes well or the Vasil upgrade goes well, what we could have is a push maybe to these local highs. Maybe we break the structure right here and kind of break out to the upside. But honestly, where are we going to go from there? I mean, I really don't see us going much past, if we go from here to here. That's a 53% boost in price. Do you really think that we're going to boost 150%, maybe 220% to the next local highs? I think it's really unlikely. And what I think is going to happen, and what's more likely, is that even if the upgrade goes well or if Ethereum goes bad, more people are going to jump ship. All I think what's going to happen is we're going to go to that 70-80 cent range. And if we drop down to the 4 hour, one interesting thing that we are seeing though is that whales are buying up at this 43 cent level. Now, one of the things that I think could happen is the whales are buying up. Maybe pressure starts rising to the upside. Maybe we get over to here, we clear these highs, and possibly what could happen is that whales manipulate price and drop it below here because there's liquidity. There's money from retail, maybe there's FOMO happening, and what's happening is that when the whales buy at 43 cents, price starts to go up, and then you have retail buyers buying at these levels, and then they sell off and send price back down. So again, when we're thinking of short term, I think it's very dangerous to trade the news, especially when it's something this big, and especially when their competition also has a lot riding on their news as well. But honestly, long term, I think this is more important of a hard fork than Ethereum's merge, because Ethereum has already proven that they've been successful. As far as Cardano, they still have a lack in their protocol. Their total value locked is basically nothing. So this has more riding on it than Ethereum does. And in terms of, long-term success, I think this is a make or break moment for Cardano, because if Ethereum does well and Cardano does not, I think it becomes a dead project, and I don't think much of it. So to kind of talk about my points, I really like both projects, Ethereum and Cardano. I love what Ethereum stands for, and I love what Cardano tried to do. But as of right now, Cardano has not been able to succeed in what they wanted, and they've been really far behind in terms of growing compared to its competition. Now for me, I'm going to stay out of both of these. Personally, what I want to see is I want to see both basically kind of fall. Now in terms of price, I think Ethereum could fall below that sub 1,000 level, and that's a really good buying opportunity for me, and that's where I think I'm going to sit on the sidelines and wait for those price zones in between $1,000 and $800 personally. Now as far as Cardano, I'm just going to stay out of it completely, and the main reason behind that is because even if things go well in terms of price in the short term, I don't see it going up that much, and it's not worth the risk. If it fails and Ethereum does well, or even if Ethereum doesn't do well, I really don't see Cardano surviving in the long term because of all the competition that's already succeeded past Cardano, and Cardano being made basically in 2017. It still has nothing to show for in its protocol, and nobody's really as excited or seeing real life applications come from it. So this is really interesting to look at, but in my personal view, I really do see Ethereum taking the cake on this, and that's definitely the one I'm going to be looking at. But again, in terms of price, I think short term, it's a sell the news event, so make sure you kind of stay on the sidelines, wait for price to show you what it does, and please, please, please do not FOMO yourself into the markets. No matter, even if there's a rally, it's better to be patient in these markets. But that's everything I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, hope you found some value, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.